Hey everybody, welcome to the second week of our podcast Stepping Stones, hosted by myself, Ella, and
her mum, Kay.
So this week we thought that we would focus on accommodation options, and I think we should probably start with location, right?
Yeah, we'll start with location.
Yeah, so obviously because my double degree is in Marseille, we are looking at accommodation options in Marseille.
I think we should also look at, as well as looking at Marseille, I think we should also look in the surrounding locality of Marseille.
Yeah, you would probably prefer to be out in the country more than in the city.
I would, bearing in mind we've experienced both life in an urban environment and also we're living in rural Ireland. We've experienced both aspects of living. However, for our purposes in Marseille and because of what you're doing, I think we would probably be better off initially to be in Marseille, just for the sheer convenience of it until we get going.
I think we're very different because obviously I'm young and I'm looking for the buzz of the city or whatever, but obviously the country has its benefits, as in there's more freedom and more space to do what you want to do, and you could go out and shout in a field and no one's going to hear you. But I hate the city because you don't have any travel time, everything's to hand basically, you don't have to go anywhere because the library is just next door. So yeah, that would be probably the first thing that we'll be looking at. So then probably next would be the buying or renting.
Yes, obviously we've looked at both options. I think that initially renting would be a better option for us until we see how we get on and what's happening. And also when you're living somewhere, you get a feel for what's around. It's always easier if you're actually in. From my own experience, living in London for a good few years, you had a good feel for the good areas or the nice areas of London compared to the not so good areas. But that's only something you can work out, that you're actually there and can see.
Yeah, I hate the whole idea of renting, that you're basically just throwing money away and you're not really going to get it back. Whereas at least with buying, it's an investment, you will get the money back and you might make a profit out of it in the end. But obviously that from the beginning, just to make sure that we settle down and everything else, that we would probably rent at the beginning just to make sure. But then I would be more looking to buy somewhere cheap or something.
Yeah, but certainly renting I think is the way forward initially.
Yeah.
From my own perspective, yeah, I agree with you, Ella, that renting is throwing money away. I would think it would be better to rent initially. Everything is set up and then all you have to do is just live while you're finding your feet. Whereas buying comes with an awful lot of baggage, and then that you're responsible for everything and you have to set yourself up.
I think you're still responsible for a lot with renting though, and even more so because the deposit is obviously what you want to get back at the end of the day.
Yes.
So you have to keep the whole place in pristine condition, and you and pristine don't mix well.
What do you mean me and pristine don't mix well?
As in that you take it to the other way, you can't even touch the wall because you might put a mark on it,
Yes, because it's not my property, it's somebody else's property, and even if it was my property, I still try to keep things nice and neat and clean and tidy.
Yeah, I think that's probably most of the reason why I don't want to rent, because of that whole thing of you're keeping it for somebody else and you can't really put your own touch on it or personalize it in your way.
Yeah, that's one of the pitfalls of renting, I suppose, that you are in somebody else's accommodation and you are trying to look after somebody else's things and somebody else's property. That's part of the game of renting. You can't get away from that no matter what you rent. That's going to be the setup.
It's not like you can have a crazy phase where you just paint your whole apartment black.
No. And even if we owned the apartment, you still couldn't paint the whole apartment black. If it was your own apartment, yes, you could.
See, but that would only be a year's time. I'd be grand with the year.
Okay.
Just, dealing with your rules, but then after you leave,
then
whole place.
If I'm not living there, then you can do whatever you like.
Pink, green, blue, yellow.
That's fine.
So then the next thing we were looking at was an apartment or a house.
Yes.
So we've always lived in a house. I've never lived in an apartment before.
I have lived, well, not in an apartment, but I have lived in shared accommodation where you shared kitchens and you shared bathrooms. And I really do not want to go back doing that again. If we're renting, I want to rent an apartment which is just for ourselves. I do not want to share facilities of a kitchen or share facilities of the same bathroom.
Yeah.
I've been there, got the t-shirt, and it wasn't a very nice experience, and I am not going back to that again.
Yeah. So that was kind of put the shared accommodation out of the window. I might go into student accommodation after you leave and I've set up and stuff. But the problem with student accommodation for me is I don't have any siblings or anything, so I'm a very private person and I don't get that like I have to share my food or whatever. Like that's not something for me. You know, I need my own room with my own space. And if I don't want to talk to no one, then I'm not going to talk to no one. And if there's someone in the in the bed next to me badgering me, wanting to like play a game or something, nah, that's just not going to be for me.
Well, you've never had to share accommodation with anybody because from the time you were 6 months old, you've always had your own bedroom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whether we were in the UK or when we came back to Ireland and we rented houses, you still had your own bedroom, you still had your own space. You've never had to share with anybody.
Yeah.
I can understand what you're saying, that sometimes you just want headspace and you'll just take yourself off. And I think there's a lot of people like that. I like my own headspace, that I can just sit quietly and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people like that. But then there's other people who are very social and who don't want to be on their own. They want to be with people and talking to people and be in a big crowd all the time and love noise and buzz and everything. And that's fine too. Everyone is different. But I think for our purposes and for your purposes, I certainly think that you're somebody who needs your own space.
Definitely. I might be able to I think I might be able to share a kitchen with somebody and I'd be able to deal with that, but I would definitely need my own bedroom where I could just shut the door and just go
and close out the world.
Yeah, not disturb kind of. So definitely private accommodation from the start then.
Yeah, initially when the two of us go, an apartment would suit us better.
Yeah.
Simply because we'll have enough challenges trying to get on and get settled in a new place, rather than having a garden or having other things to worry about.
Yeah.
That if we're in an apartment with everything set up, that all we have to do then is live and pay the bills.
I think for me personally, when I was first starting to look at it, I was looking at houses because I've never lived in anything other than a house.
No, you haven't actually.
Right?
No, you haven't. No, right? Yeah.
So I was like, well, we go for a house first. But trying to find houses in Marseille is so difficult. Everything is just apartments. If you want a house, and you got to go out, and they are expensive out there. I think I found one which was a townhouse, one of the lower kind of districts. But it had 3 floors, but it was 3 separate apartments on the 3 floors.
Right.
So that you would do up the 3 apartments and then you could rent out 2 of them and you live in the other.
Right.
And I thought that was kind of interesting. That's where I started diving a bit more into the apartment side. But
Well,
obviously then if you buy an apartment, then you have a lot of service charges and all that type of thing.
Yeah, you will do, because you'll be in a purpose-built building.
Yeah.
But if you move outside, the cost of the travel in, whereas if you're in an apartment that's central enough that you can walk to wherever you need to go,
Yeah.
okay, you're paying on service charges, but it's the convenience of it.
Yeah. I think that's why I like the townhouse so much, that it was right next to the train station as well, so you could just get the train in really easily. And I started looking at transport, and that was for a whole other day. But transport was really cheap as well.
Right.
So that was definitely an option, but it's just the fact of having to do it up kind of.
The townhouse you looked at, was that to purchase, not to rent?
Purchase.
Whereas initially, I think we're better off renting
Yeah.
and then finding our feet and then look for something to buy.
Yeah. So then renting houses is also it's just unheard of kind of in Marseille. If you want a house and you go outside Marseille, which is fine in its own way, except that if there's someone banging next door to you at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, that can be an issue.
And I like my beauty sleep.
Yeah.
I can sleep through a lot, but getting to sleep, I ain't having loud music or whatever, So then my genius idea of a boat.
Yes, one of your other ideas that you explored and did an awful lot of research on.
What did you think of that when I first started talking about it?
I'd actually be open.
Yeah, you're actually a lot more open to it than I thought you were going to be. I thought you would be nah, solid ground under my feet.
Well, I don't think you can rent a boat. When you looked into the boat option, it was to buy a boat.
Yeah. Well, I feel renting a boat, there could be problems already there with the boat, but then they blame it on you, so then you have to pay for the problems, and it's just a whole mess with that kind of thing. And maintenance on boats is very expensive or whatever, and if you don't know the boat or whatever and then you break something, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Do you get me?
Yes.
Renting didn't even really feature me. Buying was a much more feasible option for me. But as you say, you want to rent at the start.
I want to rent at the start, and I think if we were going down the boat option, because you and I will be on our own, I think that for just basic things, even for the boat, like getting water or whatever, I think you will be focusing on university.
Yeah.
I will be trying to focus and get a job and everything else, and I really don't want to have to worry about, have we got water in the morning when I get up, because we both need a shower.
Yeah.
And oh no, there's no water there. All right, well, we'll have to get water. So then I just think it would add to the stresses of moving to France.
Let's say that we rented an apartment for the first year and we completely settled and we were ready to get our own place.
Yeah, then visit all options again. If we were settled and happy and we knew where we were at and we knew some people around, that we'd made friends or we had a bit of a support network.
I think you're half open to the idea and then half not open to the idea. That like you like the idea of like staying on a boat for a little while, but I don't think you'd be open to the idea of living on a boat for the whole time.
I don't think I'd really want to live on a boat in a marina for the rest of my life.
Obviously, like it'll only be for a short period of time until like university and everything else, because you're only there temporarily.
But you never know. You can't say what's going to happen in 5 years' time.
Yeah. I think if you decided that you wanted to stay on in France, that you got a job and you found friends and you were settled and you were 150% happier than you were in Ireland, which obviously wouldn't be that hard, but then I think that we would have to look at separate accommodation. Because
you and I'm not planning on living with you for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but like even for like 5 years or whatever, I'd be like, nah, I need my uni life, you know, that like I need to live while I'm young. Do you get me?
And I can understand that.
Because I'm so independent anyway. Like, from what age was I like, oh, moving out at 18?
Yeah.
Only 4 more years to go, you know? So I think if you were deciding to stay on, then I would be like, I need to find my own place.
Anyway, yeah. And I fully understand that. Everybody needs their own space.
So we looked at the boat, we decided no to the boat. But I also learned a lot about like that you can buy mooring spaces and like berths and stuff and like how that kind of works.
Yes. I mean, in the UK it was very different because it was narrow boats in the UK on the canal.
Oh, also I would be looking at a sailboat, not anything, not like
a narrow boat, yeah. Or a, what do they call them in the UK? Wide beam boat, because we have friends who actually own a wide beam and it's like living in a house.
Yeah. There's like a lot of different things with the boat. I think you have to be very committed to it if you like really wanted to live on it, kind of, that you would be able to have to spend a lot of time on like fixing it up to what works for you, different systems and stuff. And obviously in the first year of university I will not be able to
not have the time,
because like I'll just be settling in and a whole new language and all that kind of thing. So, but it's definitely something to look at for the future. So then, if we could find like a really cheap apartment to buy and that like you could sell on later on, do you think you would buy it if it was like a doer-upper?
Initially, I don't think I would be open to that idea. I think initially for both of us going out there on our own, I don't think a doer-upper is the way forward. I think the way forward is to rent, even if it's only for 6 months, an apartment that's already set up in an area that's close to what we need, and we don't have to worry about anything, just live.
Yeah, like ready to move in.
There's nothing to be done except just move in and find our feet, which is a big challenge for me, especially with the language and everything else. So I don't want to have to concentrate or come in the evening to a mess or floor is up or there's cupboards, doors hanging off. I don't think I would be able to cope with that in my head. I want to get an apartment that I like with 2 bedrooms, shower room, kitchen, lounge, and I think that will be enough of a challenge to be getting on with for the first 6 months. At the end of the 6 months or before the 6 months are up, then certainly sit down, have a chat. Where are we at? How are you finding things? How am I finding things? What do you think are your biggest challenges? Well, for you obviously it would be university and the language. For me it will be finding a job. I think because we're both going through this journey together, but we're both looking for different things.
Yeah, very different things.
You're looking to the future, whereas I'm just looking for a life.
Yeah, you're looking for the present, basically.
Yeah, I just want to find a job, make a friend or a couple of friends, like where I'm at.
Just be happy with yourself, basically.
And just live, really. I really just want to live.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to concentrate on anything else.
To give context as well, like Ireland, it's very limited in job opportunities and
Yes, it is for an older person like me.
Yeah.
I think if you're
even for younger people,
even if you're young and educated and have the rest of your life ahead of you, I think
education is also very looked down upon almost. Like to go work in a shop, you need a degree.
Yes, you do.
What?
Whereas for somebody like me who doesn't have a degree or have anything, Ireland doesn't afford many opportunities. So I'm hoping that France will be a bit more like the UK, where they are open to having an older woman or an older man.
I think because France is more populated as well, like Ireland just doesn't have a population, so like they can afford to just take out like the bare minimum of people because they don't have enough job opportunities for everybody. France, obviously, it's a lot more populated, and like there's like 800,000 or whatever in Marseille, so obviously there's going to be 800,000 jobs, and people are going to be losing their jobs and gaining jobs and all that type of thing. And obviously with the pandemic as well, like we don't even know what that's going to hold. Like obviously right now we think that like a lot of jobs are going to go, but then could more jobs start coming in as well?
We don't know.
In
I mean, with the pandemic, we have no idea where we're going to be in 12 months or 2 years.
Yeah.
And certainly by the time we get to go to France, I'm hoping that we will be out of the pandemic and that we will be able to live again. You know, that we'll be able to move around a bit.
The fact that like you might not be able to go to a concert or a festival for 10 years, that was like, what?
Well, if that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way we're going to be. But for the basics of living, like going more than 5 kilometres from home, which we can't do at the moment, you know, I think that would, at the moment, like for a lot of people, including myself, that would be a bonus.
We're just looking for the starting point.
Yeah.
We're so confined at the moment that we need something to latch onto, like, can we go 5 kilometres from home? Like, you know?
Yep.
Just that small step is such a big thing.
Can we go and see some family?
Yeah.
Can we go and see your grandaunt? You know, can we go and see your cousins?
Yeah.
We can't even do that at the moment. But hopefully by the time we get to France, guess what? You know, we might be able to do that, and we might be able to see people, or we might be able to invite people around for a barbecue or you know, something to eat, or come in for a cup of tea.
I have a wedding to go to next year.
I'm hoping to come to this wedding as well.
Yeah.
You'll definitely be going. Whether I'll be going or not is up for negotiation at the moment. But hopefully we'll be able to travel.
Yeah.
We just can't at the moment.
Just can't wait to get on a plane again.
So
when was the last time we were on a plane, actually?
You coming back from skiing.
Oh, in Italy.
I wasn't with you, obviously. My last plane trip was when I went to the UK the year before last. I went on my own for a few days.
Oh, I miss 2019.
Yeah.
2019
we
was a
had
good year.
an awful lot of freedom that we didn't appreciate, but
Yeah.
we can't go back. We can only go forward, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Anyway, back onto topic.
Okay, back onto topic.
We went well off there. Wow. So what kind of facilities would you be wanting to have?
In an apartment?
Yeah.
Anywhere
really.
We need 2 bedrooms, because I do think we need a bedroom each.
Oh yeah.
I think that, me personally, I do like my own space, as well as you liking your own space. So
I think we get on each other's nerves way too much, like even more than we do now, you know. We're that confined.
So we need 2 bedrooms. They don't have to be big bedrooms, just 2 bedrooms, a bathroom or a shower room, a wet room would do, galley kitchen, and just a lounge.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be big, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy, just basic, but enough in that we can live in it, and it's somewhere to come home to in the evenings and go, you know what, my front door, I'm just going to go in and do what I want to do.
Yeah, I preferably like to have an elevator to get to the apartment.
Yeah. I'd also like it if the kitchen was kitted out with washing machine and a tumble dryer, but however, if it's not, that's not too much of an issue, because there must be laundrettes. I'd rather have a decent heated apartment.
I don't think I'd like a washing machine and tumble dryer in the middle of the floor, because there's nowhere else to put them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, it's so cramped that like I would prefer to just go down to the
laundrette
once a week and do my washing down there.
And come back and have the floor clear and have the place.
Yeah, then instead like there's like a kitchen island on top of the washing machine and tumble dryer.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I also want something that's kind of easy to keep, so I don't have to spend hours and hours cleaning.
Yeah.
That it's just a whiz around.
Carpets is a no-no.
The carpets is a no-no. But any of the apartments we looked at on the internet, Ellie, it was all tiles and timber flooring, which is just a wipe over job done.
Yeah. So obviously we have an alarm here at the gate which tells us if there's like something coming in. But I know that like most apartments from the movies or whatever, that they have like a buzzer.
Yeah, an intercom system. Yeah.
I think most safe areas will have those anyway.
I think most purpose-built apartments have the intercom system, where someone comes to the door downstairs, they press your buzzer, you talk to them,
and then you can let them up.
And then you can let them up or not.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen in the movies and America and that, I think any of these purpose-built ones, that they will have that system.
Unless it's really old, of course.
Unless it's really old. And of course, the other side of the coin is if it doesn't have that system,
We could always just install an alarm system in the own apartment there.
you could just, yeah. But I think living in an apartment, if the security door downstairs is locked and you need a key to get in through that, then it shouldn't be too much of an issue anyway. I wouldn't make too much of an issue out of it.
Actually, that's something. Would you like learn karate or something going out there?
Me, learn karate?
Yeah, we got that.
No. No. I have a personal alarm
Oh yeah.
in
like
my
on the
handbag,
keys,
yeah. But I'm not going to learn karate, Ella.
I feel like that'd be such a cool, like, if you went to like one class. I feel like it'd be interesting.
No, not for me.
Okay, so then if Loon came with us, so Loon is our dog, we'd probably need a dog park nearby because if we're living in an apartment. Also, that'd be a thing that like the apartment would have to allow dogs,
Yeah, you'd have to make sure the pets were
Yeah.
allowed, yeah.
and then it would either have to have some kind of garden space somewhere, or there would need to be like like a park where dogs are allowed nearby. But obviously, she won't be coming at the beginning.
No.
Then private post box.
Yeah, again, that's something that you'd have to look at when you were looking at an apartment. That does it actually have a private post box, or does the postman open the door and just throw all the mail in a heap?
How does that work though? Does the postman like go up all the levels and like do you have a letter box in your door? Or is
No,
it?
because where Nanny is, she's in a purpose-built block, and when you go in the front door, there is dozens of individual post boxes,
Right.
numbered from 1 to, we'll say, 99.
Yeah.
And then he has a master key for all these boxes, and he'll just open the door of the box and put the post in.
So then if they don't have like a post box, if they don't have that, then what happens? You just dumps it all in that you have to sort through.
Somebody I knew lived in a flat. There was 10 boxes. The 10 houses post would all go into that one box, and then you'd have to pick out your post and then put the rest back. The problem with that, and I feel it's a bit insecure really.
But then if you have like a neighbour who doesn't like you and just
Yeah.
steals your post.
Yeah, it leaves it open for abuse really.
Yeah. And like if you're having
But-
like private letters for health or whatever,
Yeah,
it's nice.
I think most of the boxes today be like
very
from
inefficient.
1 to 50, and then
Yeah.
it's put into your individual box.
Yeah. So then if we were a little bit out with that, like, as in if it wasn't walking distance that we would need a bike, we would obviously need to have bike storage because you're not going to haul up a bike up a set of staircases. You know?
No. And whoever owns the block, that they may not permit bicycles anyway.
Yeah.
Because if you're taking bicycles up and down stairs,
muddy.
scratching the wall, dirt, you really can't put a bicycle into an elevator and take it up.
That's the thing. Do like the apartment places, you know how the service charge, is that like pay for cleaning?
Pay for cleaning. In a lot of places, it would pay for maintenance to the building.
Oh, right. That's
Like
good.
if the roof needed repair, cleaning the gutters, cleaning the windows in some places, cutting the garden if there's a garden around the block of
Yeah.
flats, to pay for that. It would also pay for things like the people living upstairs, they had a leak or left the bath overflowing, and it came down into your apartment underneath.
That would go under insurance, but
It would go under insurance,
Yeah.
but the block of flats is normally insured as a block.
Yeah.
You might have to pay individual contents insurance,
Yeah.
but the building insurance would become part of your
Yeah.
service charge.
That's good. Another thing, no cigarettes. Because you know me, I'm just. I see a cigarette and I'm like,
No,
cross the road, out of the way. like,
no
just get
smoking.
away.
Yeah, we'll have to.
It's like, I remember when I went to America with my cousins and we went to look at an apartment and we went up in the elevator. The smell of cigarettes in that place, it was actually disgusting in the elevator.
All right, okay.
And I didn't even know why
I
you were
didn't-
smoking in the elevator.
I didn't think that people would be permitted to smoke in communal areas, as they call them. Do you know
Yeah.
that you could only smoke in your own?
Yeah, I smell of smoke in the elevator though. And then we went down to the laundry room and the smell of weed was just disgusting, honestly. So obviously you'd have to look at it first because the pictures aren't going to show that part, are
No.
they?
Oh no, you definitely have to, and not just go and visit
Yeah.
one or two, like to view, a good few. Can't really get a feel for a place by looking at pictures. You actually physically have to be there.
Yeah, I think area is so important as well. Like when we were looking at houses in Ireland, like before we even booked a viewing or whatever, we would go check out the area.
Area. See
all
what
that
it was
kind of
like. Yeah, you have to.
So then rubbish, would they have like a rubbish chute, or would you
Refuse,
have to...
yeah. So you need to check. Some apartments are purpose built and that have a refuse chute from your apartment or just outside your apartment, possibly on your floor. So you just put
Yeah.
your rubbish into that, or otherwise, if they haven't, that's normally there's big huge wheelie bins downstairs, usually in a storage area, that you'd have to actually physically take your rubbish down.
I wouldn't mind that though.
Put
As
it
long
in
as
the
it's in an
bin.
elevator, you could just bring it in.
Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's just like information to know, kind of. You know?
Yeah.
That like if you're trying to choose between two places, then I'll take the rubbish chute over that one. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so then water and electricity, would it be included in the service charge? That's all kind of just information that you would want to just know before you even got there, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
would you be paying your own water, or would it be included in the service charge? Because like obviously we don't use a lot of water, like we don't take long baths or anything.
No, but you still need the convenience of having water
Yeah, but I
And-
think I would prefer to pay for my own water than have it included in the service
in
charge.
service charge.
Because service charge is like the average of what it's going to cost for the whole building, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll probably be,
Yeah, that they average it out and then they've split it. So
Yeah.
I'd probably prefer to pay for my own water and like what I'm using over having the average,
Yeah.
because I'm probably going to use less than somebody else is going to use.
well then, I mean, a lot of places, like we had in the UK, a lot of places would probably have like a water meter,
Yeah,
so that someone comes out, reads your meter and then sends you a bill, and you only pay for what you use.
yeah, I prefer that, I think. I don't use a lot of water.
No.
Then electricity and gas would be the same for me.
Electricity, again, that's probably all metered.
Yeah,
You may have your own meter. In some apartments in the UK, all the meters are in a block. So you'd have number one, number one, number two, number three, and someone would come and read the meter and then send you a bill.
if you like take things out of the service charge.
No.
You'd be like, no,
Because
okay.
what you pay for your service charge for your apartment, next door will be paying the same service charge for their apartment.
Right.
So it's,
Yeah, I just like to look into that, because like things, if like the average service charge is like 1,000 a month just for water, I'm like, what?
yeah,
What are you on about, kind of, you know? Like, and then obviously we would want amenities to be nearby, such as the library, supermarket, things like that.
yeah,
Because like if you've got shopping bags, you're not going to want to haul them like,
miles.
yeah, especially if you don't have a car or means of transport other than a train or whatever. So then the last thing that we were kind of looking at was if we wanted to rent or buy a garage or like a lockup.
A
kind of
lockup.
thing.
Yeah, we discussed that, didn't we? And we thought it might actually be a good idea to have
Yeah.
somewhere outside of the apartment where we could just store things. You made a very good point, like you said, for things like skis or your skiing outfit, your skiing clothes.
'Cause
But they're quite
obviously-
bulky.
Yeah, because apartments are so confined as well
Yeah.
that like for 9 months of the year, if you're just storing the ski outfit
Outfit.
behind like the wardrobe to like try and pull out a pair of socks, like it's
Yeah,
gonna get annoying, you know.
yeah,
And just like if you like find a nice piece of furniture and you're like, oh, this won't really fit in this apartment, but I'd like it if we moved out sometime. So like things like that, I think a garage could be good, and like Christmas decorations, you know.
and we do like our Christmas decorations.
I think that's all we've got for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Look out for future episodes and make sure you download them. And follow us on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And we hope to see you next week. Bye!
Bye.